Hello everyone. So let's start with our today's session. Before we start, let's revise what we have covered in previous session. So yesterday we discussed about why do passwords matter and how to create a strong password. We started with that passwords are the first line of defense for our accounts, and weak and reused password makes our account vulnerable to attacks. And password-related breaches are the most common entry points for cyber criminals. After that, we discuss about what are the don'ts that we must avoid while creating a password. So we must not use any personal information, avoid common passwords, don't use the same password for several platforms, and avoid writing passwords on paper or saved in unsecured notes. Then we discussed about what are the do's and what how we can create strong passwords. So we discussed that we must use at least 12 characters. We must mix uppercase, lowercase letters, numbers, and symbols. You must change passwords regularly and use a unique password for every account. Also, enable two-factor authentication. After that, we discussed about some techniques that how we can easily remember our strong passwords. So, which some of them were like using a passphrase that is unique to us and a sentence that is only known by us. And after that, we discussed about acronym method. We can take a sentence and we can create acronym of that sentence and use it as a password. Deliberately misspelling can also be used while creating a password, and using a memory cue for uh, from our life that cannot be easily guessed. After that, we discussed about why we should use different password for each of our accounts, where we get to know that cyber attackers often use credential stuffing, trying known credentials on many sites. So we must use different passwords for email, banking, social media, and school portals. After that, we saw a demo on how to create our account on a password manager, Bitwarden, which helps us manage our passwords, generate strong passwords, and can be synced across devices. So we don't have to worry about if we have saved our password on laptops and we are trying to access it on a mobile device. So it will sync across devices, and we don't have to worry about that as well. After that, we have an activity of creating a strong password. So that is what we covered in previous session. Now for today's session, we will be learning about Wi-Fi security. So what does Wi-Fi stands for? So Wi-Fi stands for wireless fidelity. It is a wireless networking technology based on IEEE 802.11 standards that allows computers, smartphones, and other devices to connect to the internet or communicate with each other wirelessly using radio waves. Now, what is the importance of Wi-Fi networks or securing Wi-Fi networks? So, Wi-Fi networks can, if Wi-Fi networks got breached or they are compromised, all that data that is going through that network can be seen or can be intercepted. So, which is not good, which will make us vulnerable, and all the data that is going through that network will be breached. So that is the importance of securing Wi-Fi network. Now, types of Wi-Fi usage. We use Wi-Fi's in home, public, school, and offices. It is always advised to not use public Wi-Fi's, and if we are using it, we must use a VPN while connecting to a public network or public Wi-Fi. Now, some common Wi-Fi vulnerabilities that are present are open or unsecured networks, weak passwords, outdated router firmware, no encryption, poor router placement. Now, open and unsecured networks is the most common and most basic Wi-Fi vulnerability that is present in today's world. Sometimes hackers or malicious threat actors perform these kind of activities like not setting a password on a Wi-Fi, and what happens is our devices, our mobile devices or laptops, they connect automatically with the open Wi-Fi networks. So we must keep a check and close that setting that do not connect to open Wi-Fi networks. So if our device is connected to an open or unsecured network, all the data going through our device or going through that network will be interceptable, and if intercepted, the threat actor can get access to our data that is going through the network. Now, weak password. If the Wi-Fi is protected but it has a weak password, it can be breached easily, and then uh, our data can be intercepted. So, weak password is also a Wi-Fi vulnerability that is present on Wi-Fi. Outdated router firmware. Now, router firmwares are the softwares, or you can say the commands that are present on a Wi-Fi router that helps it operate and connect to devices, or transfer the data from your device to the internet. So firmware is the main part or operating system which handles all these connections. So outdated router firmware can also be a vulnerability, because firmwares gets updated time to time, because if there's a vulnerability in that router firmware that can be exploited to get access to that Wi-Fi network or the devices that are connected to them, or if there's a vulnerability that the router can transmit any kind of data to your devices, then that will be a vulnerability that is exploited and which makes us vulnerable. So outdated router firmwares is also a Wi-Fi vulnerability. No encryption, WEP instead of WPA2 and WPA3. So what are these terms, that is WPA2, WPA3, and WEP? So these are the Wi-Fi encryptions, or encryption that is used by Wi-Fi to keep the data encrypted. So first one is WEP, which is wired equivalent privacy. It was used in 1997, the oldest era, and it is completely unsafe. Its encryption is incredibly weak, and a beginner hacker can crack a WEP password in less than 2 minutes using free software available on any laptop. So it is advised to not use WEP as our encryption for our Wi-Fi networks. And most modern devices will warn you or refuse to connect to it. After that, we have WPA, PSK. Is someone trying to say something? Okay, so now it's a WPA/PSK, which is Wi-Fi protected access, and PSK stands for pre-shared key. It is used in 2003, which is an emergency fix for WEP. It is deprecated right now, and it has a flaw, that is, it is a temporary improvement. Hackers quickly found a way to break it using brute force, trying millions of password combinations very fast, and millions of password combinations were very fast that will get the correct password in minutes or in hours. After that, we have WPA2/PSK, which was invented in 2004, and it is used currently till date. Now it is secure, but it is aging. It uses AES, which is Advanced Encryption Standard, which is the same technology used by governments to protect top secret data. But it also has a weakness. It is vulnerable to attack called crack, key reinstallation attack. If a hacker is physically close to your router, they can potentially eavesdrop on your data. So WPA2 PSK is also not secure, as it is vulnerable to crack, key reinstallation attack. If the hacker is in vicinity of your Wi-Fi network, it can eavesdrop on your data by creating a temporary handshake which will send it the password which will be encrypted. But after that, the hacker can try brute forcing these millions of password combinations and get the password cracked, but it will also take hours. Now the third one is WPA3 PSK. It was invented in 2018, which is the newest and most secure. And the improvement in this is it fixes the flaws of WPA2 Even if you choose a weak password, WPA3 makes it much harder for hackers to guess it. It also provides forward secrecy, meaning even if a hacker captures your encrypted data today, they can't decrypt it later, even if they eventually find your password. There's one more thing that is present on Wi-Fi routers, that is WPS, which stands for Wi-Fi Protected Setup. It was created in 2006 with a simple goal, making it easy for people to connect devices to their Wi-Fi without having to type in a long complex password. Now you might have seen there's a button on your Wi-Fi router that says WPS. If you click that or hold that button, it will send an 8-digit code to your device, and your device will confirm it that it has received, and it will create a connection between the device and the Wi-Fi network. So that is how this WPS works. This is also a vulnerable method of connecting to the Wi-Fi network, as it is easier for a computer to guess that eight digit code, which is sent in two parts, which is first four digits and the last four digits. So even if the computer or the device receives the first four digits, it will be easier for a computer to crack the last four digits of that code. So WPS is also not secure, and it is advised to keep it disabled. Now, the another common vulnerability for Wi-Fi is poor router placement. Router placement matters a lot. As we discussed for WPA2, if the hacker is in the vicinity of your router, they can eavesdrop on your data. So, if the router placement is near your window or a door or rooftop, the Wi-Fi range covering that area is exceeding the walls of your home or your office, it is unsecure, because if you are placing router near to any of these thing, any of these like windows or doors or rooftops, the range of that router or that Wi-Fi will be exceeding the bounds of the walls. So anyone who is passing from outside will be able to see or detect that Wi-Fi network on their device, and Wi-Fi can be eavesdrop from the outside. So it is advised to keep the router centrally located in your offices, homes, and wherever there is a router placement. So these are some common Wi-Fi vulnerabilities that are present. Now, public Wi-Fi hidden dangers. Now, public Wi-Fi lack of encryption. Public Wi-Fi does not have any user authentication. Anyone can connect to it. So it poses a risk of man-in-the-middle attacks, data interception, fake hotspots, and malware injection. Public Wi-Fi's usually lack encryption. It will send data in plain text, and if someone is intercepting that data, they can read all the data that is passing through that Wi-Fi network. So that is why it is advised to use VPNs while connecting to public Wi-Fi's. There's no user authentication while connecting to a public Wi-Fi. You might have seen public Wi-Fi's are open Wi-Fi networks, and it does not have encryption. And on the top of that, it does not have any kind of user authentication that authenticates that the user who is trying to access the Wi-Fi network is or is a legitimate user. So if anyone can connect without any user authentication, there's no data or there's no log of who connected from that Wi-Fi network. And if there's an attack or if someone is intercepting the data, no one can identify who intercepted that data. Third one is anyone can connect, which is the most dangerous thing of these public Wi-Fi's. If anyone can connect, a threat actor can connect to that public Wi-Fi and launch a man-in-the-middle attack, in which it will intercept the data or the traffic that is going through that Wi-Fi network and can see which device is using or surfing what part of the internet. So it is advised to use public Wi-Fi with an VPN. Now, what are man-in-the-middle attack? What it will man-in-the-middle attack is basically man-in-the-middle attack is basically this is your device, and this is your Wi-Fi, public Wi-Fi. So if you are connected to Wi-Fi from this device, what man-in-the-middle attack is that it will connect to the Wi-Fi, but the network or the data will be passing through another computer, and then it will go to the Wi-Fi, and then it will pass it on to the internet. So that is how man-in-the-middle attack works. All the data or the traffic that is going through your device will be first intercepted by this computer or the threat actor that has placed between the Wi-Fi and your device, and then it will pass it on to the Wi-Fi, and then it will be sent to the internet. So that is how this man-in-the-middle attack works. Data interception. So data interception is same, and it is a part of man-in-the-middle attack where the threat actor intercepts all the data, sees what is going through the network, and keeps the data that is useful for him. Fake hotspots. Now, what happens is they will create another fake hotspot of that same public Wi-Fi without uh, any of these things like lack of encryption and no user authentication, and anyone can connect. So they'll create a fake hotspot with all these things, and your device will automatically connect to that fake hotspot, no registering it as an previously connected network, and then it will and they will send or they will inject malware using that fake hotspot in your device, and they'll get access to your device. So these are the risks of connecting to public Wi-Fi's. There's also a case study in which a student checks their email on a cafe Wi-Fi and gets phished. Now, what might have happened over here is the student who checks their email on a cafe Wi-Fi. So there might be someone who was working on a man-in-the-middle attack, or who has successfully completed man-in-the-middle attack, and then it has intercepted the data, and then created a fake hotspot, and then malware injected it onto his device and get his credentials from his device. Now, what are some safe practices for public Wi-Fi's? There's a must use of a Wi-Fi, or if you're using a public Wi-Fi, you must use a VPN, which is virtual private network. Avoid accessing sensitive accounts like banking or government accounts on a public Wi-Fi. Disable auto connect to open networks. Prefer mobile data over public Wi-Fi. Always log out from services. As I have said multiple times, use a VPN or virtual private network while connecting to a public Wi-Fi. What it does, it will encrypt the data that is leaving your device, and the data will be sent to another server before it goes through all this internet. So how this VPN works is, so this is your device. Your device is connected to VPN, and it is then connected to public Wi-Fi. So what it will do is it will always send the data to the VPN, and then the VPN server will be connected to this network, and it will show the IP address of this VPN server on the logs of the internet. So that is how this VPN or all these VPNs work. It is also advised to avoid accessing your sensitive accounts like banking accounts and government accounts on public Wi-Fi's, as there's a case study that we discussed just now, that you might get phished while using these all sensitive accounts, or your money can be stolen, or your identity theft can be occurred. So avoid accessing sensitive accounts on public Wi-Fi's. Disable auto connect to open networks. It is by default set to auto connect to open networks. We must disable this in order to protect ourselves or connecting from public Wi-Fi's. So disable these settings on your device. Prefer mobile data over public Wi-Fi. Mobile data is more secure than using a public Wi-Fi. Using public Wi-Fi might be cheaper, but it is more safer to use mobile data. Always log out from services. If you are connected to a public Wi-Fi and you log into your account, and that was very important. Now, before leaving or disconnecting from that Wi-Fi, log out from that service. what happens is when you log in, the authentication service of that platform that you are using will send an authentication token for your device. If that is stolen, anyone can access your account, and it won't be a problem for them, or they won't be needing any kind of a username or a password for that. So if you log out from that service, that authentication token will be marked as invalid, and if someone got access to that and they try to use it and access your account, they won't be getting access to your account. So always log out from services. Now this is a cheat sheet that what you should do and what you should don't do. Check if the network requires a username and password. If the username or the net if the network requires a username and a password, that is a good sign that it might be a safe network. Turn off the option to automatically connect to networks from your device. Don't allow your device to or check that tick the checkbox of connect automatically on your devices. Turn off Bluetooth when you are not using it, and especially when you are in public places. Bluetooth devices can connect very fast and connect automatically. So it is advised to turn off Bluetooth when you are not using it, especially when you are out in public places. Use a secure VPN to ensure your data is encrypted and your device information stays private from snoopers and other bad actors. So it is advised to use a VPN that encrypts your data and your device information stays private. Now, what you must not do: you must not use your online banking account or other accounts with crucial sensitive data while on public Wi-Fi. You must not leave your device unlocked and step away from it while connected to a Wi-Fi network or a public Wi-Fi network. You must not shop online and risk exposing your card information while connected to a public Wi-Fi. Do not send confidential documents while using a public hotspot and run the risk of exposing their contents to attackers. As we have discussed that data interception can be occurred while being on a public Wi-Fi, so it is advised to not send any kind of confidential documents while using a public hotspot. We can simplify our life with password managers. We have multiple password managers. Some of them are Bitwarden, LastPass, OnePassword, and KeePass. We had a demo of how to create an account on Bitwarden yesterday. So you can create your account and start using Bitwarden. Generate and store strong passwords securely. It will generate strong password and store it securely. You can sync across your devices, even being offline. You can sync your password on your devices, and you just have to remember one password, which is the password that is required to log into your Bitwarden account or your password manager's account. Now, let's move on and understand what are the components of your home Wi-Fi network. So there are majorly three components of a home network. First one is the router, which is a physical device that is present in your home. Second one is the SSID, the name of your Wi-Fi, and third one is the encryption protocol that encrypts your data when the data is going through the Wi-Fi network. So these are the main components of your home Wi-Fi network. Now, what are the risks associated with these components if it is left unprotected? First one is the bandwidth theft. You might experience low bandwidth or low speeds, and your sites or internet might get slower, and the speed of the Wi-Fi network will be slower. So that is known as bandwidth theft, where a lot of devices connected to your Wi-Fi network will be getting or will be using your bandwidth to access internet. Next one is personal data leakage. Your personal data is also at risk because when you are using home Wi-Fi network, the data going through your Wi-Fi can be intercepted. So there is a risk of personal data leakage. Access to smart home devices. Nowadays, there are smart home devices that connect to Wi-Fi, and we can access those devices using the applications on mobile phones. So if our home Wi-Fi network is compromised, the person who has compromised our home Wi-Fi network can get access to smart home devices and can enable or disable and tamper the functionality of our home devices. Now, how can we secure our home network? First of all, what we have to do is we have to change the default admin and username password. Secondly, we have to enable WPA3 encryption from our Wi-Fi network. If WPA3 is not present, then we must enable WPA2. Disable WPS Wi-Fi protected setup. As we have discussed, that WPS is the most easily crackable method to connect to a Wi-Fi network. So we must disable it. Regularly update router firmware. Use a strong Wi-Fi password. Hide SSID if not needed for guests. So these are the steps how we can secure our home network. First one is we must change the default admin username and password that is provided to us by the provider or ISP provider. Secondly, we have to enable the encryption that is on our device. That might be WPA3 or WPA2. So we must enable encryption. After that, we have to disable WPS, which is the most easiest method to connect to a Wi-Fi network. After that, we must check for updates of our router firmware. If there's any update for our router firmware, we must update it. Use a strong Wi-Fi password, as using a strong Wi-Fi password will take a lot of time for the hacker to crack that password. Hide SSID if not needed for guests. You might have seen on your device that there's an option of adding a Wi-Fi network where you have to enter the name of the Wi-Fi and then you have to enter the password. So you can enable or hide your SSID or the name of your Wi-Fi if not needed for guests. Now, there's one more thing that you can enable on your Wi-Fi network, which is guest network. Now, what is a guest network? Guest Wi-Fi network is a segregation of your Wi-Fi network into a smaller Wi-Fi network where guests can connect and can access internet without getting access to your home network. It isolates your main network and provides limited access permissions to the person who has connected to the guest network. And keep this in mind, whenever you are not using guest network, you must turn it off. Now, router placement and physical security. Place it in central location. It will provide you better coverage and less external exposure. And less external exposure will make your router or Wi-Fi more secure. Avoid placing it near windows or external walls. As I said earlier, that avoid placing it near windows or external wall, as if you place it in central location, you will get better coverage, better speed, and your Wi-Fi network will be secure. Secure physical access to the router, especially if in shared housing. If you live in shared housing, secure physical access to the router, as there's a WPS button on your device which can allow the threat actor to connect to your Wi-Fi using that button. So secure physical access to the router. You can also enable parental control and monitor the device. Use a built-in parental control for kids. You can enable parental control for kids and disable the sites or malicious sites, or if you are getting spam emails about phishing and other domains, you can disable or set it to not load these websites by setting the domain in this parental control settings. Also, monitor the connected devices via your router dashboard. It will give you an insight of how many devices are connected to your Wi-Fi network, and if you find any device that should not be there, you can block it from there only. Now, limit unknown devices. Set a limit on the unknown devices that are connected to your Wi-Fi network. Regularly check device list or connected devices, as it will tell you or give you insights about how many unknown devices are connected to your Wi-Fi network. Or if there is any unknown device, they might be a threat actor or trying to eavesdrop on your network or trying to intercept the data that is going through the network. Now, there are some tools and apps for Wi-Fi security. So some of them router apps are TP-Link Tether, Netgear Nighthawk, Asus Router app. Now, free network scanners are Fing and Wi-Fi Analyzer. Some VPN tools that are present are Proton VPN, Windscribe, and NordVPN. I personally use Proton VPN, and it provides better speed, and it has free plan as well. So you can check out this Proton VPN, or you can check any of these applications that are important for Wi-Fi security. Now, before we move on to quiz, we have our today's assignment, which is create a case study report on how an unsecured public Wi-Fi was exploited and suggest technical behavioral countermeasures. So you have to create a case study on how an unsecured public Wi-Fi was exploited and suggest technical and behavioral countermeasures for it. You have to upload your assignment on this form, or you can scan this QR code. There you have to upload your module 6 assignment, and you have to close the form, as it will be saved there, and the form will be submitted only if you submit all 10 assignments. So we are on the 6th module, so you have to upload your assignment and then you have to close the form. Now let's move on to our quiz section. What is the biggest risk of using a public Wi-Fi without any protection? What is the biggest risk of using public Wi-Fi?
So it's like in the a third party can just have a fishing in between like a third man.
Yes. Uh, the risks are data interception, man in the middle attack, and malware injection, phishing. So these are the biggest risk of using public Wi-Fi without protection. So we must use VPN to protect ourselves while using public Wi-Fi. Now, which is the most secure Wi-Fi encryption standard for home use?
WPA3.
Yes, WPA3 is the most secure Wi-Fi encryption standard for home use. Now, what should you do to protect your home Wi-Fi network?
Have a guest network as well.
Yes, have a guest network. Hide the SSID if not for guest, and we must enable the encryption, and we also disable the WPS on our Wi-Fi. So these are the things how we can protect our home Wi-Fi network. So now this is it for today's session. Let's discuss the key takeaways for today's session. So public Wi-Fi's are risky. Use a VPN and avoid sensitive tasks. Home Wi-Fi must be password protected and encrypted. Always update router firmware and monitor your devices. So this is it for today's session. I'll see you next week. Thank you guys. Chirag, is there any doubt that you want to ask?
No, sir, nothing special. Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you, Chirag.